Jalen Jacoby is presented by Crown Royal Regal Apple.
He is Jalen Rose. I am David Jacoby. We are Jalen Jacoby. What exactly is it that we do, though?
We give the people what they want.
The Rams might not have a quarterback. We have a Heisman Trophy winner, but we start with the best team in the National Basketball Association. The championship Lakers went up against the Grizzlies and handled business, led by, of course, 26 from LeBron and 26 from AD. Jalen, what do you think about the statement the Lakers have made early in the season?
First, I want to set the table because my Grizzlies, because you know how much I love Ja Morant, he wasn't playing. Jaren Jackson Jr., who dunks on anybody with his left hand and shoots threes, wasn't playing. And Winslow, who they got from the Heat, wasn't playing. However, we know, just like in football, the Kansas City Chiefs have distinguished themselves as the best team in the league. Not necessarily saying that it's a slam dunk that they're going to win it, but that's who I'm picking to win it. It's the same thing with the Lakers in the NBA. They're the team that went to training camp, Jacoby, and looked and was like, we got LeBron, who was great in the second half yesterday, and you saw when he made the late shot on Brooks, and he told him he was too small. I guess LeBron could do that to anybody if he really wanted to. They have depth. They can play big. They can play fast. They can play in the half court. They're intelligent. They're the defending world champions. Unless COVID or injury derail the Los Angeles Lakers, they will be back-to-back champions.
Oh, they will. And another thing I could see happening is just sort of like fatigue, just sort of malaise. Like Schroeder had double digits in this one and they folded him in well and they're folding in Trez. But this team, as you mentioned, is head and shoulders above everybody else in the league. They're the number one spot. There's a big gap and then it's 2 through 30. However, as you mentioned, that doesn't mean they're going to win the championship. We've seen what happened over seasons. We've seen what happens in playoff series. There are always upsets, but right now, unlike last year, the Lakers are the clear-cut favorite right now to win the championship and be the number one seed in the Western Conference. One thing that's worth mentioning, though, is third in defensive rating and sixth in offensive rating. Like third best defense and sixth best offense, that's going to translate to wins no matter who you are. They've been doing it on both ends. And Jalen, one of the teams that wants to challenge the Lakers in the other conference, of course, is another dynamic duo, that of KD and Kyrie. KD has been out for a week with COVID precautions. Guess what? No problem. Kyrie went off. What did you see from the point guard of Brooklyn last night?
I want to celebrate Kyrie because, like I've said, since he and Steph Curry rose to superstardom on the offensive end of the floor, like these guys are Harlem Globetrotters playing in the NBA. Do you see those moves, Jacoby? We see Kyrie Irving and people, because of his height, want to put him in the box of being a point guard. Look at him like you look at Steph, like you look at Dame. These dudes are prolific scorers who aren't charged with getting 10 assists. He sees himself the same way James Harden does. He looks at himself like a shorter version of Kevin Durant, and I can't front. When I saw him put up 55 against the Spurs a couple of years ago, that's when I thought of that example. I was clearly disappointed in the defensive effort by the Utah Jazz. Donovan Mitchell did score over 30, but for Kyrie to come out and play the way he did against a playoff team with a pair of $200 million players on the other side, it was extremely impressive.
You remember that IG Live when him and KD, when Kyrie was like, no matter who's covering me, I feel like it's a mismatch? He's kind of showing that on the court so far this season. And one thing that's really interesting to point out during this is Steve Nash remixed the whole lineup. The only starter that remained from the previous game to this game was Kyrie Irving. And one of the key things he did was finally replace DeAndre Jordan with Jarrett Allen. And you look at those highlights from Kyrie. Who's setting all those screens? Oh, Jarrett Allen. Who's collecting this behind the back pass? Jarrett Allen. Jarrett Allen played really well. He's clearly a better choice than DeAndre Jordan. I feel like chemistry between him and KD and Kyrie was the reason that he was in the starting lineup to begin with. But not only that, Taurean Prince started and Bowen started. And what did that do? The one problem with this team was the defense. That shored up the defense. Utah shot just under 39% from the field. I'm going to say it again. Utah shot just under 39% from the field field. And I think that this is Steve Nash starting to figure out that maybe when you have scorers like Kyrie and KD, you should surround them with defenders to help shore up that end of the court. Do you think he will continue to do this throughout the season, trying to find the right lineup?
Absolutely. The only, anchors in the lineup clearly are going to be KD and Kyrie. And we've gone to Nets games together. We've taken this show to the Barclays. So that's kind of a squad that we've adopted. And it's ironic that we get a chance on Wax to cheer for Karis LeVert. Like I cheer for him and I cheer for Dinwiddie. But you take it personal that Jared Allen ain't starting. You take it personal.
I love Jared Allen.
Yeah, you love Jared Allen so much. Why do you take it so personal? I agree with you, he should be starting. But I want the people to know how much you're a fan of his and why you take it personal that they have the nerve not to start your guy.
Well, it all started in that series against the Sixers. Now, did they win the series? No. But did they go back and forth a little bit? Yes. And Jared Allen showed that not only can he, run, and dunk, he can also play defense against Joel Embiid somewhat. Obviously, no one can stop Joel Embiid, one of the best big men in the league. But then they bring in DeAndre Jordan, clearly because he's friends with KD and Kyrie. And if I'm Jared Allen, I'm like, wait a second. I'm a rising role player in this league, and you're going to bring in this vet who does what? Rim protects, rebounds, and block shots and dunks? That's what I do. And you're bringing him in just because he's friends with them too? Come on now, he's eating in my minutes. But you saw last night, DeAndre Jordan had just under 9 minutes where Jared Allen showed up and showed out with 19 points and 18 rebounds. While the Brooklyn Nets have a lot of options of what lineups they're going to throw out there at different positions because they're so deep. The Rams are having a problem at the quarterback position. And that leads us to this super wild card weekend. Look at this slate of 6 games in the NFL. I'm not going to see my family all weekend long. I'm not going to see my family all weekend long. We're going to have breakfast together, and then I'm going to say goodnight right as we eat our bacon because I'm watching football for 12 hours every day, Saturday and Sunday. But I mentioned the Rams because they have come out and said that Sean McVay's not going to tell you who's going to play quarterback. Is Jared Goff going to be healthy? I don't know. Is Wolford going to play? I don't know. We'll tell you later. What do you think about the fact that McVay has yet to say who's going to play quarterback against the Seattle Seahawks? And what do you think the key is for the Seahawks to get the victory regardless?
This is an easy one. We all know that Jared Goff, if he's healthy, is going to be the starting quarterback.
Of course, but is he healthy?
It's not brain surgery. And all pro talent on both sides. Just think about that now. We're talking about Goff, but defensively, you still got Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. For the Seahawks, they have Jamal Adams, who has more sacks for a DB this season than in the history of the league. But it starts under center with Russell Wilson. The way he throws that deep ball to Metcalf and to Lockett the Rocket versus the Rams defense, who's been one of the best at stopping the 20-plus yard passes by the other team, that's the dynamic I'm looking for.
That is going to be a key matchup in this game because when you think about the Rams defense, Aaron Donald comes to mind, but so does that man, Jalen Ramsey. And we remember what happened last time they matched up. He took the assignment of DK Metcalf. He took it personal, and he kind of shut down DK Metcalf, and hopefully he can repeat that performance to bring the Rams close in this one because they will have trouble moving the ball with a hobbled Goff or with someone who I just had to Google last week to find out who they were under center. But one thing I want to point out, because I spent a lot of this season absolutely trashing the historically terrible Seahawks defense. Like, I did a lot of this. I had stats on this show and all that, but guess what's happened to that defense, Jalen? They turned it around. Look at that. Top 2 over the last 8 games in points per games, yards per attempt, and sacks. Think about that. They were historically terrible to start the season, and they've completely turned it around. And if they can get this defense to play like they have played, and they can get their offense to click, they can really make some noise, not just against the Rams, because they're going to beat the Rams, but moving forward in the NFC. Do you think they have a chance at challenging the top of the NFC?
I think they do because of that defensive stat you just shown and that improvement. But also, I must say a name into the atmosphere that's going to be a game changer this weekend. Bobby Wagner. You know, we don't talk enough about him because he like Ashford and Simpson. He's solid as a rock.
He's always there.
So
Always
we don't
there.
never give him his love. We don't never give him his flowers. We talking about who gonna play quarterback for the Rams. That means they're in trouble. And Bobby Wagner's gonna have a lot to say about that.
Jalen, as the men's basketball team for Marquette took the floor last night, they did so wearing all black, and they did so as a gesture in response to the district attorney saying that they will not file charges against Rustin Shesky and the other police officers involved in the shooting of Jacob Blake in Kenosha. Now, this is obviously the event that led to the stoppage in the bubble of the NBA play, and this is obviously reverberating throughout our society and in the athletic world. And of course, when something happens off the court, everyone looks to LeBron James to make a statement, and he did yesterday again after the game against the Grizzlies.
To hear what happened in Kenosha today was a blow to the heart and to the gut. Not only to that community, but to us and to every Black person that just has been a part of this process and seeing these outcomes for so long.
So, Jacoby, for me, this is about humanity and righteousness. Color continues to become an issue because it seems the majority of the time that unarmed people are harmed, shot, paralyzed, killed, detained by police. They're Black and brown people. And when you have a ruling like this, what ends up happening is while the police are charged to protect and serve, it continues to erode the trust of the people that they're designed to support. And it goes even further in some of these cases where the police report was even falsified. So it's extremely important for everybody that's about humanity and about equality to speak up and acknowledge it when it happens, especially if you're a predominant entertainer, athlete, or you're LeBron James. So many times, Jacoby, and it's been a mask on, mask off. It's like, stick to sports and shut up and dribble. But there's an asterisk there. You know what it is? That's if I don't agree with you. And so it's really important when you have a following and you have a platform that you use it. So I was proud of the NBA in the bubble, how the players in the WNBA handled themselves. And I'm extremely proud of how the Milwaukee Bucks chose to not play a game when this shooting took place so they can make a change in Wisconsin. I'm glad to see Giannis is still going to be an anchor in that community. And I'm extremely proud that the NBA is going to continue to let their voices be heard. And again, following the lead of the WNBA. Let me make sure I stress that.
You made some really good points. The WNBA has always been on the forefront in the fight against social injustice, and we all remember the controversy around Colin Kaepernick taking a knee and the sort of reverberations of that through sports and society, and we also need to remember that and remember the role of the athlete in this fight. Now, this is systemic. This is part of our society. This is ingrained in our culture. Athletes taking a knee are not going to solve this. However, you mentioned the Bucks. In reaction to the Jacob Blake shooting and video, the Bucks decided not to play. They didn't play for 3 days. And then a deal was struck between them and not just the Bucks, but the players and the NBA to restart the games that involved, among other things that raised awareness, polling being used in NBA arenas, which I don't say swayed the election or brought one way or the other, but it brought tangible change. And it's things like this that athletes and activism together can cause change. They can't solve the problem, but they can continue the fight against it, which they will. And we will continue here on Jalen and Jacoby. But Jalen, we have a national championship game in college football that's in jeopardy, and also Kim and Kanye in jeopardy too. We'll get to all of that and more right after this.
Watching Jalen and Jacoby, presented by Crown Royal Regal Apple.
Coming to you live from Pier 17, the South Street Seaport District of Manhattan, and brought to you by Chase. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen, it is time for your favorite segment where you decide what we discuss. It is Keep It Moving.
Woo! Tang!
If you want to discuss the topic, say hit the brakes. If not, me, you, and Method Man jump in the minivan and keep it moving. And we start with a little Jeopardy for the college football national championship game. Keep moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
Due to some COVID cases at Ohio State. They're saying that it is going on as scheduled. However, they do have the 18th as a backup date to play the game. Do you think they should postpone it a week?
I believe that it's going to go on as scheduled, but I'm with you. If they have to postpone it a week, it'll still be a quality football game against what I feel are the two best teams in the country. What I will say is really remarkable that the NFL and college football actually got to complete their season during this climate without a bubble.
Well, we still have the playoffs in the NFL, so let's not jinx it. Moving on to the NFL, a team that is not in the playoffs, the Dolphins, had something interesting to say about Tua Tagovailoa. Keep moving or hit the brakes.
He came off a major hip surgery, Demetrius, our producer. I know he didn't have the best year, but this is not the draft to take a quarterback. Don't give up on Tua, Miami. Keep it moving.
We keep it moving. We keep it moving.
J.J. Watt apologized to Deshaun Watson. Okay, J.J. Watt said he's sorry that we wasted one of your years to Deshaun Watson. What do you think of that?
And also, Deshaun Watson sent out a cryptic tweet that people feel like maybe it's attributed to the future GM that's being speculated that they're going to hire. It doesn't seem he's too enthusiastic about that. But again, here's what I'll say about this season. I'm the number one Deshaun Watson fan, as you know. We're going to charge this year to the game. We got a Billy this year. We got a half a Billy this year. We're going to charge this one to the game. We got to take a deep breath. We got to regroup in the summer. We knew it was going to be a challenging year. We knew we weren't the Chiefs.
In my entire life, I have never seen a quarterback celebrated like this with so few wins throughout the season. Like, people acting like he went 16-0. Moving on. We had a contest between the Timberwolves and the Nuggets yesterday, featuring the Joker. Keep moving or hit the brakes.
Hey, man, hit the brakes.
Jokic, off to a hot start. Unlike last season, he had 35 and 15 against the Wolves yesterday. What do you think about Jokic early in the season?
I think as a complete basketball player, what you see of him playing the 5, that's what Luka would look like if he was 7 foot tall. That's what Luka would look like. Not only productivity-wise, but body type as well. These guys understand the real estate on the floor. It's like Monopoly. They own Boardwalk and Park Place. Look at those numbers. Didn't we just say this about Luka yesterday? Look at that full court bounce pass.
Beautiful.
Over 30, 15 boards amongst the league. Is Joker still leading the league in assists? Is he still leading the league in assists? Doing jump hook post moves? Hey, man, that is my guy right there putting in work.
Jalen, the Red Sox made some history yesterday. Keep moving
Hit the
or
brakes.
hit the brakes.
Hit
We'll hit the
the
brakes on
brakes.
this. The Red Sox hired Bianca Smith, the first black woman to be a coach in professional baseball. What do you think about this groundbreaking move from the Red Sox?
All I know is right now, in particular, in our climate, I want to just salute the sisters out there. Black girls rock. We've seen it in political spaces. We're seeing it in sports right now. Big shout to the Boston Red Sox for taking this notable move. I'm going to support her and hope she does an amazing job.
Jalen, Kim and Kanye may be headed for divorce. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
We'll hit the brakes on this one. There are some reports that she has attained a lawyer and they'll be looking to separate their nuptials. And I will say this, I divorced Kanye like 2 years ago. I divorced Kanye a while ago. Kim's late to the party. Me and Kanye have been divorced. Kanye hasn't. I've been listening to Kanye for a few years now. I don't know what she's talking about. I need a lawyer.
I don't even have nothing to add. You dropped the mic on that one.
We divorced Kanye already. When we come back, we have a major announcement from potentially the number 1 pick in the NFL draft, Trevor Lawrence. Look at what is coming up on ESPN and ABC tonight at 10 p.m. Clippers Warriors. Friday night, 10 p.m. Clippers Warriors again. And then kicking off the action on Sunday at 1 p.m. on ABC and ESPN, it is the Ravens against the Titans in a marquee wildcard game of the weekend. And then the next day, Monday night at 8 p.m. on ESPN, it is the College Football Playoff National Championship game between Alabama and Ohio State. And playing in that game will be the Heisman Trophy winning Devonta Smith, the first wide receiver to win the award since your fellow Wolverine, Desmond Howard. Jalen, Do you think Devonta Smith and Alabama can roll the tide all the way through Ohio State to win the championship on Monday night?
And how about coming into this season, their notable receiver was Jalen Waddle, who might play in the championship game, who probably would have been taking home this trophy if he was healthy all year. It just showed the amount of weapons that Nick Saban continues to amass. But I can't front, Jacoby. I'm Big Ten at heart. I won't do it out loud, but you're asking me. I'm going to root for Ohio State. I'm going to wish the Big Ten win. I'm going to root for the Big Ten.
That's so mature of you, Jalen. It seems like Alabama has great running backs and receivers every single year. Well, one of the Heisman finalists, this man, Trevor Lawrence, made an announcement. Surprising nobody, he will enter the NFL draft. Jalen, do you think the Jaguars will pick him in the number 1 spot?
He's going to be the number 1 quarterback taken, as he deserves to be. But I got to tell you, Jacoby, being a national champion is awesome. But the last 2 years, he was supposed to be the Heisman Trophy winner. It was delivered to his front lawn, and he wasn't able to secure it. So I'm looking forward to see him ball in the NFL.
Before we go, we just want to salute Dr. Dre, who suffered a brain aneurysm. And we just want to say that we are with you, Dr. Dre, and we are glad to hear that you are on the mend to recovery. We will be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. on ESPN. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast.